called him blatant and dangerous, said that the country's been flagging us for all these years, talked about the inequality of the races, etc. And then he went on to specifically praise you, your activism, what you've spoken for, the ability to speak out, trying to lead others, etc. So just wondered if you could react to that and everything you've been thinking about these last couple of days.
Well, when Coach Pop speaks, he's very articulate, very straight to the point, very educated, very smart man, and he comes from a sense of being a human being and knowing what's going on in our country, knowing the difference between right and wrong, and the things and the challenges that we have to go through. And so, I mean, I love Coach Pop not only as a coach, but more as a man. Obviously, the last few days has been very, very, very tough on anybody in the black community. Starting off with when we got the news when we was in Memphis with the Jacob Blake announcement and with the cop being let off or not being accused of that brutal murder, and then with yesterday seeing what happened at our national capital, inside the Capitol. It's we live in two Americas, and that was prime example of that yesterday. And if you don't understand that or don't see that after seeing what you saw yesterday, then you really need to take a step back, not even just one step, maybe 4 or 5 or even 10 steps backwards, and ask yourself, how do you want your kids, or how do you want your grandkids, how do we want America to be viewed as? How do we want to live, in this beautiful country? Because yesterday was not it. And being a part of a household with 3 kids, 2 boys, a daughter, a wife, a mother-in-law, and so many, black folks in my household during that time, and it's on the TV. Couldn't help but to wonder if those were my kind storming the Capitol, what would have been the outcome? And I think we all know. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. We already know what would have happened to my kind if anyone would even got close to the Capitol, let alone storm inside the offices, inside the hallways. Just a very, very low time in our country to see what we saw yesterday, the chain of events. But it just goes to show, like I said, it's 2 different Americas that we live in, and it's my job to continue to spread positive notions and continue to educate my people, continue to big up my people, continue to inspire them, even when times like yesterday feel like it was another gut punch to us of what we saw. So.
And as a quick follow-up to that, how do you talk to your kids about this, LeBron, and how has that evolved? And I know they're different ages, but how has that evolved over time?
You just show them the photos. All you got to do is look at the photos from the peaceful protests of what we, were fighting for. We were, when we were out there fighting for lives, and what we saw yesterday, they're talking about votes. All you gotta do is look at the photos. I mean, I saw a picture yesterday that we all probably seen before of a black man holding his daughter on top of his shoulders, and you got a police officer with a shield on, with a gun pointed right at him or right at her. Could have been rubber bullets on the inside. Could have been real bullets. We all seen that photo. And then on the contrary, you got this white guy walking inside the Capitol with his thumb up in the air, with the damn podium in his hand. I mean, what more do I need to say to my kids than to just see the 2 differences? It's right there, it's right there in their face. And I will continue, and my wife will continue, and my mother and my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, who lived through a lot of this shit, hit home with them. But for them to see it, it's even more powerful.
Dave?
LeBron pregame Pop reflected on 2016 and saying he read a New York Times editorial predicting kind of this was going to go down this way with this administration. And I remember being in a locker room with you the night the 2016 election happened, and your sentiment was similar to that. Like, okay, we're in for something here. In your view, in terms of being a leader in Black America, what is the damage of the last 4 years, and what's the step forward to make things better?
Well, we took a step forward in November by electing Joe and Kamala to be in the White House, for them to be the head of our country. That is a step forward. The events that took place yesterday was a direct correlation of the president that's in the seat right now, of his actions and his beliefs and his wishes. He cares about nobody besides himself. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. He doesn't care about this country. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care about anybody besides himself. And we've seen the tweets that happened along this whole path to the destruction of what happened yesterday. Those events was because of him. And we sat there, and everyone, and it's just over the last 4 years we all knew. Like you said, Pop said it. I remember, like you said, 4 years ago, I sat there and said this is the beginning of the end for our country, and hopefully it only lasts 4 years. But the one thing you can't get back in life, and one thing you can never get back, and that's time. And how do we recoup that? How do we recoup that? And for me, I'm not only an inspiration or a leader of Black America, I want to be an inspirational leader of all races, because I only preach positive stuff, but I also preach what's right. There's a difference between right and wrong. Like, literally, if you don't know what's right and what's wrong, like if you walk outside and a kid pushes another kid on the ground and you don't think that's wrong, what is it? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, people that grow up with hate, it starts in their households. It starts in their households. And when they get outside their households, they get older and older and older, and they continue the same things that they've seen over the course of time. And you have these issues that we see in America. Like hate, it comes from the house. Everything that goes on comes from the household of people just hating and hating and hating. And obviously what came from the president that's in the house now, from his household, is the reason why America.
We're going to take one more. Dan?
LeBron, the shirt says, "Do you understand now?" Your shoe said, "Do you understand now?" What would you say to people who don't understand at this point? And how do you reach people who don't?
No, it's unfair to try to get people to understand, but we want people to win. You don't see the fact that when we walk out of our homes, or we walk out of our project buildings, or we walk out of our apartments, that we're scared to death right off bat because we're afraid of the police. And that's just how I grew up. When you see the police, you ran the other way. You didn't feel like it was protection. You never felt like it was protection. So we can't make you understand. We don't. Do you understand? We want you in the sense of, do you understand what we're saying? Because you will never understand the feeling that we feel being a Black man or being a Black woman growing up in America. Because of we got over 150 years, 400 years. These things that's going on, there's no difference. There's no difference. They just hide them. The KKK, the rags over their faces. They're just hiding behind certain other costumes. They're just going under certain other costumes that you saw yesterday in the Capitol. You can't sit here and say that those are terrorists. We keep saying as protesters. Those are not protesters. What were they protesting? Knocking down walls, knocking down the gates of our nation's capital. People don't understand. Do you understand that? That's what we're talking about. Like, do you understand how hard it is for us to continue to live our lives the way we live, continue to inspire, continue to give everything that we got. Like, everyone jumps on the bandwagon of what we provide, what we bring. You know, the way we dress, our music, our culture, our food, everything that everyone steals from what we do, and then they want to act like they did it or they brought it to this world. We don't get our due diligence. We don't get the respect. We don't get anything back for what we've given to this country besides a slap in the face. And they're gonna say, okay, well, you know, you should shut up and dribble, which I've heard numerous of times, but I'm never gonna do that. I'm never gonna do that. And they're gonna say you got so many other opportunities, so many guys are in leagues and all that stuff, but man, that's peanuts. It's peanuts to what goes on in this country. And yesterday was just very shameful, and I'll just say embarrassing to us as an example. I grew up knowing that America was the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we set an example for all these other countries in the world of how to run things and how to be great and how to, you know, maneuver and change the world and things of that nature. And yesterday we looked like a third, fourth, fifth world country. It's just very embarrassing, and I hope we can be better. But let me just say that. Appreciate it.